Hello everyone, my name is Cherie, and first of all, I want to say Happy New Year. And second, I want to talk about my favorite books of 2015. Now, not all of these books were published in 2015, but these are all the books that I read in 2015. I ended up reading 44 books this year, and I will leave a link to my Goodreads page down below that will show you all the books I read. Just to let you know, 4 of those books will not be on there because they are rereads, and for some reason Goodreads doesn't like counting the rereads that you read. At least I don't think they do. I had a very good reading year, and I read a lot of great books, but I couldn't put all the books on this list. These are the books that stuck with me throughout the year, and I really enjoyed them. I do have a couple honorable mention books that I want to talk about quickly. First, I have Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I really enjoyed this book earlier this year. I enjoyed the relationship. I enjoyed the characters. It is a young adult contemporary novel, and I'm sure most people have read it, but if you haven't read it yet, you definitely should. And the next one I have is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is another one that I really enjoyed this year, and it was very entertaining read. And I know that it's going to end up being a movie someday, and I definitely cannot wait to watch it on the big screen. So those are 2 books that I could not fit in my top 10. So let's just get to the books that I do have on my favorites list. Shadow Shaper is a young adult urban fantasy with amazing characters. These characters are great. I really enjoyed watching their journey throughout this story. The main character is a great heroine. I rooted for her throughout the entire book. I'm really hoping for a sequel, and I believe there should be one coming at some point. Again, I really enjoyed these characters. They were teenagers, and they felt like teenagers. They didn't feel like adults trying to be teenagers. They actually felt like teenagers. And it was also a diverse read, which was very refreshing. You is an adult thriller, and it very much intrigued me before I read it. It is told in second person, and we pretty much get a behind the scenes look at a stalker. The story was a bit disturbing. Our main character was definitely disturbing, but it was so entertaining, and it has stuck with me since I read it. There is going to be a sequel to this book out. I believe it comes out in February, and I believe it's called Hidden Bodies. I am definitely going to pick it up. The Walled City is a young adult standalone novel, and it is set in a walled city. It follows 3 different characters living in that walled city. One is there because she is searching for her sister. Her sister is there because she pretty much got kidnapped. And the last one is there because it is pretty much the only place he is safe without going to jail. I rooted for these characters, and I would say this book probably had one of the best endings of a standalone novel. It was one of those endings where I didn't need another book. I didn't need to know anything else about these characters. Everything was given to me in that book, and I was really grateful for that. The Martian is a sci-fi novel with a man stranded on Mars. A very entertaining, funny read. We get to follow our main character who is stranded on Mars. We also get to follow his crew who left him there, as well as the people at NASA and everyone else on Earth. I still have yet to see the movie version of this book, but this book was very good. It is also one that made me get a little misty-eyed at the end. Night Film is an adult thriller, and it follows an investigative journalist who is obsessed with this director. And in this book, this director's daughter ends up committing suicide, but the investigative journalist doesn't believe it's truly a suicide, and he goes on this journey trying to figure out what really happened to this girl and what happened to this director who no one has seen or heard from since 1970s from a Rolling Stone interview. This book made me think a lot about what was real and what wasn't, and I enjoyed the ending. There are a lot of mixed reviews about the ending, but I really enjoyed it. I feel like this book would be a very good mini-series. Leaving Atlanta is an adult fiction novel, and it is set in the 80s in Atlanta, Georgia. During this time, African American children have been vanishing. This story is told through the eyes of children, which I love so much because what is happening affects them as well. It doesn't just affect the parents, it definitely affects the children. We get to see them while they're in elementary school, and it brought me back to me being in elementary school with recess and sleepovers and who's friends with who. I really enjoyed this book. It was funny at times, but it was definitely sad. I am surprised that it took me forever to read this book, but I'm definitely glad I read it in 2015. The Girl Who Fell from the Sky is another adult fiction novel, and it is about a girl who fell from the sky. It is the story of this girl who is mixed race, and she ends up moving to California to live with her African American grandmother because a tragedy happens to the rest of her family. It follows her life as she tries to deal with what happened, and also as she tries to deal with who she is and how people view her as she is a mixed race person. And it also gives you a backstory of what really happened to her family. Just like Leaving Atlanta, this is another character-driven novel where it's not really about what happened, but it's about who it happened to. I really want to get a physical copy of this book. I ended up reading this book on my Kindle, and I think I want to end up finding the hardcover because I really love this book. Wolf by Wolf is a young adult historical fiction novel, and it is set in an alternate timeline where the Third Reich and Imperial Japan are in power. And ever since they came to power, they have this annual motorcycle race. And the winner of this race gets to go to the victor's ball and get an audience with Hitler. Our main character is a former death camp prisoner, and she has this ability where she can skin shift. She can change to look like someone else. She is on a mission to enter the race, win it, and kill Hitler. This was my most recent read on this list. This is also the second book on this list by Ryan Groudon. If you aren't aware, I'm pretty much a fan of hers. This book was great. The main character was great. The world building was great. Everything about this book was great. And I definitely recommend everyone read this if they haven't already. We got to understand why our main character signed up for this mission. And we got to kind of put ourselves in her shoes on how we would react while we're in this motorcycle race. There are different contestants around you, and you have to decide whether or not you want to get close to these contestants or not because you're on this mission. Such a great book, and I believe a sequel to this will be coming out maybe in 2016. If it is coming out in 2016, it's going to be my second most anticipated book for 2016. Uprooted is a fantasy novel, and you pretty much go into it knowing nothing about the story, and I love that about it. When you open up the dust jacket, it just tells you that there is this village, and this village is protected from the wood. And this village's protector is a wizard named the Dragon, but there is a price to pay for this protection. Every 10 years, the villages must offer up a girl that ends up staying with the dragon for 10 years. The next choosing ceremony is coming up, and everyone believes that this certain girl is the one the dragon is going to choose, but he ends up choosing someone else. And that's also pretty much the first 10 pages of the book. And then you end up going on this journey to see what happens to the girl that the dragon chooses, as well as why he ended up choosing her. Also, the girl the dragon chooses and the dragon are my OTP from 2015. I love that this book has a mix of romance and action in it, and it's such a good book, and I seriously cannot wait to reread it. And now we're here at number 1. I'm pretty sure some of you know what my number 1 favorite book of 2015 was, but my number 1 favorite book of the year is Golden Sun is the second book in a sci-fi trilogy. We continue to follow the people in the society, which is a color-based society where the golds are the top class and the reds are the lowest. And our main character, Darrow, is a red, and we get to follow his journey as he fights against the golds, and he's met a few friends along the way, including one of my favorite characters, Severo. The first book in this trilogy, Red Rising, introduced us to the world, and Golden Sun just opened the world for us more. Everything just felt bigger, everything just felt more important. I felt all of the feels in this book. I was happy, I was sad happy, I was angry. The ending was a huge cliffhanger, and I hated having to close that book and having to wait over a year until I get my hands on the next one. This was the second book I read this year, so it's been a while, and I am so ready for Morningstar. So that was my favorite books list of 2015. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them, or if you're thinking about reading any of these books. Also, let me know what your favorite book of 2015 was. But that's all I have for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!